So today we are going to make responsive layout. Okay, so there are two things. One is responsive layout and adaptive layout. Adaptive layout is something that is platform dependent. Okay, so what I want is that in case of our mobile devices, we have the device itself and we have some sensors. Okay, like the fingerprint sensor is not it's very common nowadays in Android devices, and the Face ID in Apple devices. Okay, so what to do when we are talking about adaptive? Okay, so adaptive is something that is dependent on the platform. Like if I'm making an Android app, okay, so that is the platform dependency. Okay, and responsive layout is something that on what screen size, how the layout should be shown. Okay, so I just made a new Flutter for app, and I just made a new project, and I just ran this project in our web browser. Okay, so there are two things that we can do to achieve responsiveness in our layout. The first one is that we use the media query dot size. Okay, what it does is that it gives the size of the platform or the screen that is showing. Okay, so first of all, I'll just remove this code. I don't need it, and I'm gonna make a new screen directory, and I'll make a new, say, screen. So let's just leave it like this, and I'm gonna make it stateful widget, and this is screen. Okay, so I'm gonna use import material dot dart. Yeah, it's done. So I'm just gonna call this over here, and it will give an error. So let's just import our screen. Okay, so it's done. Now what I want to do is let me just give a scaffold and give it a body. Let's say text. Okay, this is Scaffold Studio. Okay, so let's just refresh it and it will show it up right here. So let's just wait for it to show. It should show it now. Okay, not like this. I'll have to do it like this. Okay, so should show right now. Okay, so I'm just gonna give a simple example for this. Okay, so this is showing this is Scaffold Studio. Okay, so let me just put it in the center, and yeah, it's fine. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna increase and decrease the size of the text based on the screen size. Okay, so if I do this right now, there's nothing, the size isn't changing. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that I'll have to remove this, and I'm gonna put style, text style, and let's just say it's font size, and let me get this over here. Size is equals to media query dot of context, the context which we are showing right now, or the display, or the screen that is showing right now, and the size. Okay, so I just need the width. Okay, so I'm just gonna get the width from it, and I just save it over here, and let's just rename it to width, and let's just say width divided by 5, or say 6. Okay, so what it's gonna do is that it will get the size of the screen. Let's say this is the size, and it will divide the value by 6, and then it'll show it. Okay, so it's too big. I'll just get it, and let's say 15. Okay, so let's just do this and wait for it to restart. And when it restarts, okay, so this is showing this is Sega Studio. Okay, so when I increase the width, the size of the text will also increase with it. As you can see, the text size is increasing. Okay, so this is a simple representation of what is responsiveness. As you can see, I have decreased the size, and the text size also decreases. Okay, so you can get the value of the width. You can just print that value. Okay, so let me just remove this thing, and yeah, it's fine. So what I'm gonna do now is that this is the first way. Okay, and it becomes a bit tricky when you are making a very big app and you have a lot of screens, and you will just have to create responsiveness for web and the mobile. So it gets a bit tricky. The best way, or the preferred way for doing this, is that we should use a layout builder. Okay, so what is a layout builder? I'm gonna make a new screen, directory, and I'll just rename it as responsiveness. Okay, so let me just create 3 files. One will be the responsive file, and it will contain the layout builder. Okay, so what is a layout builder? The layout builder is basically a widget that gets the context and the constraints of the display, and based on that it will tell you the real results of the screen. And when it changes, it's not basically in the build method like I did in the like I did in this screen. It is not based on the build method, it's based on the whole app, like what is the screen size. Okay, so let me just import material package, and okay, so it's done. So now I'm gonna return here layout builder, and the builder will contain a context and constraints. So let me just give it to that. Okay, so context and constraints. Okay, so I'm gonna give it like this, and I'll remove this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is that I want to check the constraints. Like if the screen size is greater than 600, it means that the screen is not a mobile. Okay, so I'm just gonna take 2 widgets from here. Final widget, mobile screen, and a web screen. Okay, so I got these 2 widgets, and I'll get them as required. Okay, so I'm gonna check that if constraints dot, okay, so max width is greater than smaller than 600. Okay, so if the screen is smaller than 600, it means that the screen is mobile. So I'm going to return the mobile screen widget dot mobile screen. Else I'm going to return a web screen. Okay, widget dot web screen. Okay, so it's done. So now in the I'll just make two more files. Let's say dot mobile screen. Okay, and I'll have a stateful widget over here, mobile screen. I don't need a stateful widget for now, but let's just use that material package, and I'll just give a scaffold and a text over here that this is a mobile screen. Okay, so body this text, and this is a mobile screen, and the same with the web screen. Okay, so we'll do this, and I'm gonna change the name web screen. Okay, so I just forgot to do, and let's just copy it over here. Let's just rename it. Okay, so it's done, and I'll just change it to web screen. Okay, so this is a web screen. Okay, so in our home I'm gonna call responsive. Okay, and responsive takes two widgets, mobile screen and web screen. Okay, so I'm just gonna give mobile screen that I just made, okay, and the web screen I'm gonna call web screen. Okay, so it's done, and when I restart the app, what will it do is that it will check for the constraints. Now the width is 600, the width is greater than 600. So what will it do is that it will show this is a web screen, and let me just get it to the center. Okay, let's just wrap with the center and do this as well. Okay, so when I restart the app, let me just show you that it will increase the size. As the size is increased, it will show that this is a web screen. Okay, so let me just reduce the screen width, and you will see that it will show that the screen is now a mobile screen. The text changes from this is a mobile screen. Okay, so this is the basic way of doing, or the better way of doing the responsiveness thing. Okay, and it's a bit easy to understand when when your app is quite big and you want to achieve the responsiveness for all your app. So it gets a bit handy, and the code is separate, so it becomes easy. So that's for today. Thanks, I'll see you in the next video.